Spent too much time in California. Now I got that Rona. Gotta be alone. Staring at my phone. Gotta be alone.
Gotta be alone.
I think it's pretty unremarkable here. It's just hot, which it always is.
Normal hot.
So there you go.
So normally, when I was doing these a lot, I would have like a page of notes and stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't have a page of notes for you.
No, because you were just talking for like 2 hours.
Well, not only that. I mean, I could have prepared yesterday or something, but I also just like, I don't know. I feel like we can just talk about whatever. The premise of the show was originally how the like coronavirus didn't affect everybody, but being like quarantined or isolated. Can you hear me?
Mm. Yeah, I was just turning it up.
Oh, yeah. How being like isolated did affect everybody, and that's why it was called the thealoneavirus. But I've just got like that was 5 months ago, and now I'm just like, we don't really have to keep rehashing the same thing. But so we'll just dive in here.
We'll just dive in.
You're actually the first officially quarantined person that I'm talking to.
Official quarantine, like locked in sort of deal.
Like real quarantine.
Yeah, not the stay-at-home stuff that we were doing before, where it was like, oh, I'm quarantined, but I'm gonna go sit outside at a bar and go for a walk.
That's kid stuff.
Kid stuff. No, I'm doing hard time, Jordan.
Yeah.
Hard time.
So I'll tell everyone, all of my listeners. I mean, I've been getting into triple digits here. So
that's good.
Yeah. So I'm talking to you in Thailand or Thailand, as some of us.
Thailand.
Yeah.
Thailand.
And so you're there. You moved there because of work.
Yes.
You
work.
Yourself and your family. But
Correct.
In order to be there, the government is forcing you to quarantine in a hotel for 2 weeks. Is that right?
Correct. On our own expense too, although my work's paying for it. But but still, I mean, further limiting who could come. I mean, this isn't cheap. Thailand famously cheap, but I'm not in some backpacker with Leonardo DiCaprio tripping on some sort of drug that some dude gave him.
If only, right?
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
So that is correct. The family and I picked up. We left the coronavirus hot zone. We came to the country, I think, of all the ones that are reporting trustworthy numbers, I think that's doing the best.
Oh, really? The best in the world?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what
it's
is
either this or Taiwan, and I don't know 100% true, but the point stands is that things are awfully good here. So there's only been one community spread case in Thailand in the last 100 days, just one. There have been cases daily, but it's been Thais coming back into the country, occasionally a foreigner coming in, and I'll tell you about the foreigners in a second, but there have been only 100 recorded cases. There's been a few suspect cases. There's been people like crossing the land borders from Laos and Myanmar, but I guess they never tested positive eventually. Yeah, but people are all on edge here because, the news from the neighboring countries like Indonesia, Singapore, Philippines is that, they're getting like the mutant strain of the virus. Or I think what we suspect is that it's the European American version of the virus, which I think we understand to be a bit more communicable than the original strain. So that strain of the virus is working its way into the region, and I think the Thai authorities are petrified that if that gets in, it's just going to wreak havoc. So, so much to talk about. The way that we've only been here for a little over a week, and we haven't been outside the hotel. But just that like day experience coming through the airport was just mind blowing.
Why?
It was.
What do you mean?
Okay. So Well, right. So everything leading up to it, like Thailand's borders closed immediately. We'll start from back. We'll start from the time of Christ, as
Oh yeah,
in
and we should
March,
say
March 2020 here.
you're a very knowledgeable person. You've been following the coronavirus because
Yeah.
that's what you do.
Yeah. For the benefit of listeners, yeah, I guess this, yeah, it was what I do. So I do security risk analysis, and traditionally it's about like the really dangerous stuff like terrorism and armed conflict and violence and that sort of thing. But the place I work for, so much of it was about staff travel, and we're, part of that, the whole staff travel program fell into our remit too, and that just sort of ended, but it's dictated by the coronavirus. So we were like keeping track of the spread across the world pretty much from before it really was an issue in the US even. This move to Thailand, of course, for us had been in the works since like December last year. So we were like super excited to go all the way down to like, oh my God, we're never going to go. And then, identifying a small window in the summer that we're like, okay, we have to go now, or otherwise we're not going to go. So, so let's see. Well, I guess I could start with how I don't know. Where should I start, Judy? Just
I'm
waking
just
up.
curious,
This is coffee here.
Yo, what time is it for you?
It's 8:22. I should be pretty, or 8:15, whatever. I should be pretty awake, but I'm not.
Neither am I, and it's 6:15 p.m. Okay, so all right. Well, I guess I'll prompt you then. So what? Okay, so we're gonna assume that the virus that is there or has been there is like the Asian version.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so let's start at day one, like when people were starting to hear about the coronavirus, and it was becoming news, and we were sure that it was going to be like a pandemic, or to that extent. What did Thailand do?
Yeah. So I think that it's popped up on international media a little bit. People are wondering, like, what did Thailand do right? Why is it not an issue there as it is elsewhere? I don't think there's a really good single answer, but there's a lot of good smaller anecdotes which probably explain it pretty well. So first of all, the Thailand was the very first country to register a case of coronavirus outside China. So the very first time that a case was reported, and it was even like outside of like Wuhan too, I believe. There's a couple other provinces in China where it popped up, but pretty early on, there was someone in Thailand that tested positive. Immediately, I think the Thai government and health authorities had been following it very closely, obviously concerned that stuff like that can spill into the country pretty easily. Immediately, they shut down airspace and restricted travel from Wuhan. I don't know if it was China altogether, but it was from Wuhan. I mean, there were direct flights from Bangkok to Wuhan, so they were like, cut those off. I think then what happened, and they didn't go crazy with the travel restriction just right away. What happened then is probably the result of several rounds of viruses that have come through Southeast Asia. So we were here in 2009 just traveling, and it was on the heels of, I believe it was the swine flu.
So you only go to Thailand during pandemics?
Only during pandemics, yes. Okay. It's great deals.
Okay.
It was right after. This was right after either swine flu or avian flu. I can't remember. I guess that's a good point. Is that this isn't their first Coronio.
Well, that's an influenza, but sure.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So there's several coronaviruses that have come through Thailand before. Health authorities are not like they were pretty. They weren't learning as they go. I mean, they were learning about this particular one and its effects as they go, but like the same sort of preventative measures that they enacted for swine flu and avian flu, applied for this as well. I mean, so like hurdling hundreds of people through airports was, they already had that plan in place. Contact tracing, they already had that in place. Obviously, it needed to be expanded because this is way more serious than those, but still the basic infrastructure was there. So there's a bit of, so they got that first virus. It was definitely the strain that wasn't as communicable. They had the infrastructure in place to sort of contain that initial wave. And then they did some pretty precise travel restrictions to Wuhan. And then, it just didn't spread, and it didn't spread, and it didn't spread. And then when it got really bad in Italy, Iran, Italy, Germany, they were just like, well, no Germans coming, no one flying from Germany. And then at a certain point, they realized that, I think when the virus spread so widely, they were just like, okay, no foreigners, which is a really hard thing to do for Thailand, because I think tourism makes up like something crazy between 20 and 35% of their GDP here. So that's like, that's pretty serious stuff. But they only have to date. Let's get the
was there ever an outbreak?
I'll pull up the numbers here. Go ahead.
I'm just like, was there ever a point where there was an actual like epidemic that they had to get out that they had to react to, or was it all sort of proactive stuff?
I think it was all proactive stuff. I mean, I don't know if there was like a concentration of cases at all. Let me pull up the number. I mean, you're going to be shocked by the numbers.
I know. Yeah.
So I think caveat here, everyone, most people are like, well, do they really have the capacity to account for all cases? Are they underreporting? And even if they were underreporting and not counting every case, I think, we would know if it was a really, really bad, out of control problem and they just weren't reporting the cases. I mean, like, that's happening in places like Yemen and like Libya, where there's just no public health infrastructure, but people are dying, and the UN is like, they're dying from the coronavirus, obviously.
Right. Like you don't need to test them to know if they're
yeah. No, but yeah, which is ridiculous. I mean, then you think about the way that the people in the US are like, well, these people had comorbidities, so they didn't actually die of the coronavirus.
Well, I do want to ask you about that at some point.
Yeah. All right. Okay. The latest numbers are from my trusty person I follow here, which is the Bangkok Post. Okay. Total since the pandemic began, 3,440 people have been infected. Now, like 1,000 of that in the last 3 months has just been Thais returning to Thailand from elsewhere, from the Gulf, from Europe, from East Asia. Okay. And then, let's see, 58 deaths total.
Damn. 58. Are statistics more impactful? Let me ask you this. Are statistics more impactful when they're written on a Chipotle napkin?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
That might get through to the LA demographic. I hear they're a little wishy-washy on the masks. But if you make them wear a Chipotle mask, if you make them wear a Chipotle napkin, it might work.
Yes. Okay. So do you think, I know, I don't know anything really about Thailand as in association with the coronavirus. But when reading about China, they drew a hard line from day one, and they kind of culturally, the people were sort of culturally prepared to change their behavior, temporarily to combat the virus, right? The spread.
Right.
Do you think Thailand is more like that? I know the U.S. is just about the opposite of that.
It's the opposite, right? Yeah. I generally think, again, if this were to I just had a thought about what would happen in the U.S. if this went away, and then 2 years from now we had another thing, and then I was a little optimistic that maybe we'd get our act together, but then I was like, no, we wouldn't. Because the point is that again, these things have happened here before. I'm pretty sure. I bet there would be. Okay, so two things here. One, yes, there is some like deference to authority here that we don't have in the States, for better for worse, right? I mean, it's authoritarianism is a thing here, even if it is a so-called democracy. So like, yes, there is this idea that you obey rules and you follow the rules and you do that. I think that's part of it. But the other part of it too is that, like, again, I mean, Thailand has seen that if you do these and China and some other countries in the region, if you sort of go heavy-handed at the beginning, you're not stuck in a situation later on where you're living under prolonged restrictions. So, I mean, Thais right now are able to travel around the country. In fact, there's like the government has put forward this crazy travel subsidy to promote domestic tourism, where it's like you can get like these crazy luxurious hotel rooms on the beach for 50% off if you're a Thai national, and like they're able to move about. They can't do it. Suppose that
won't apply to you?
No, but there are some. I mean, we do get some deals, and we're actually already planning a trip to reward ourselves for getting our asses over here. But yeah, so they're able to be out and about. Like, I'm already scheduling meetings, face-to-face meetings in cafes. People wear masks here, apparently. I wish I could. My view is not of the street. Otherwise, I would have more interesting observations of the way people are moving about. But from what I've heard from people I've been contacting, like, we can, go to a cafe, go to a bar, go to a restaurant.
Do you have to wear a mask?
Limiting. No.
Okay.
Don't. Certain places are like, there's a sign that's like, you have to wear a mask to come in here, sort of deal. But walking on the streets, no. Most people do, anyways. I mean, I remember that from 2009 when we were here. Like, it's just a thing.
It's already a thing.
People do. Yeah. It's already a thing. And like, I was talking to Jason in Japan about this, and there's this definite feeling of like, if you're sick and you need to get out and about, you wear a mask to protect your neighbors. That's sort of, and again, a thing that you do. Whereas in America, you might as well, try them for treason or something like that.
Right. In America, if you feel sick, there's this thing where you have to,
Yeah.
To me, the root of everything is this, in America, is like this gross masculinity. It's like, yo, you got to power through it, bro. Like, just go to work. You can do it, man. Don't be a pussy.
It's like people buying guns when the pandemic was spreading because you can, you might as well arm yourselves for the pandemic. You shoot the virus.
You could shoot it, right?
Yeah, you shoot it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Great. So
it's insane. Yeah.
When you're out of there, you're free in a way that you haven't.
Yeah, it's so free, way more free than I would have been in Washington D.C. before we left. No, it's really mind-boggling. Like, I give 14 days of my freedom in this hotel room to be way more free than I would have been in the States, even with these sort of middling restrictions that we have in most of the U.S. I mean, I'm sure there's places that you got some governor or mayor who's like, we don't need to do anything, and that's free. But I'm now free without really having any fear of actually getting the virus. So.
Yeah.
So define free, right? It comes down to your definition.
I mean, I have so many political questions that I'm just like not asking right now, but not your politics, but just because I want to understand things better and how people are trying to rationalize bullshit.
We can take that up. We can take that offline, Jordan.
Yeah. How are you going crazy? Like, you're saying you're sacrificing freedom for 14 days. Is it really that bad? Like, are you at your wit's end? Well, I'm ready to get out.
Yeah.
I know you're ready to get out, but like,
I don't think I'd do well in jail. Yeah, I'm comfortable. The bed's pretty hard. Like, this sounds really trifling, and like, if you're in a hotel room for 4 days, not a big deal. But like, the bed's super hard. The chair I'm in is really uncomfortable, and I have to work.
Well, to be fair, so is mine.
Like, I have nowhere else to sit.
Is there TV?
So like, we got TV. We've got all like the great Japanese variety shows. of like the really silly stuff that goes on.
That sounds cool.
Crazy. Yeah, it's pretty fun. And I get to watch the NBA playoffs too. They're on here, so that's fun. No, the TV's good. Look, it's fine. There's obviously people that are in way worse off situations. I'm in tight quarters with my wife and 2-year-old son Emmett, so that's like, it's real. It's real. And then yeah, okay. So he's doing fine. We were talking like there's different ages. This would be really difficult. So if he was like, a newborn, he'd be up in the middle of the night. We wouldn't be sleeping. If he was a little bit older, he wouldn't really want to follow rules. He would be like, why? I don't want to do this. If he was even older, he'd be locking himself in the other room and like yelling at us through the door to say "fuck off, Dad" or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I hate you. I hate you. Can you imagine doing this with a teenager? Ooh. So like, yeah, there's each age would have its different little quirks, but at 2.5, he's a champ right now. So
nice.
Again, could be worse, but so right.
One more before you dive further. How long is the flight?
Okay, cool. Well, that'll transition into. I was going to mention about what our quarantine setup here is, but yeah, going back. The flight. Why don't we go back a little further, Jordan? If we haven't lost all of your listeners by now, let's lose them.
I feel like my listeners, there may not be many of them, but they're sticking with it if they're here.
Let's lose them.
Okay.
So back on this track about what Thailand was doing to prevent foreigners from coming. That sounds simple on paper, but it's actually it's not. There's so many different class of foreigners, and like I don't mean class in like the socialism sense. I mean class as in like visa type and just purpose of travel. So like there's Thailand famously has quite a few older white men who have families here. They have like a family visa. They're not considered Thais, so a lot of them who left were
just
not able to come back.
Family ties.
Family ties. That's man. See, this is why I need more coffee in the morning, Jordan. Do you appreciate my Zoom name?
Oh yeah, I was wondering about that. Tintin Quarantino. Yeah. I didn't know if you typed that in or if that was from.
I did come up with that this morning.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of myself. So I digress. Right. So there's all these different class foreigners, and Thailand was basically was saying no to all of them except for just very few. One of which, at the very early stages, it was only people who like already had long-term work permits in the country, and a certain class of teacher, because the school year was going to start, and but there's a lot of foreign teachers here, so they needed to bring foreign teachers back in. And then diplomats. So there's like those three categories, and I fall under the diplomatic category. So we were able to start, applying to come here or way early on. And like they're still not letting in tourists. They're talking about tourist schemes to come in, but tourists aren't allowed in. So you had to get several documents. Like this is crazy bureaucracy to try to even get here. You had to get what they call a certificate of entry, which basically means that you're a legit diplomat with working privileges, etc., and your organization wants you to come. So there's that. On that, you had to have a flight booked, and you had to have a quarantine hotel booked. This is before they give you your visa. I didn't have a visa yet. Some people who were doing this already had their visa. Anyways, not going to drown in the process. So we had to get our hotel, get our flight. The flights we had to book through a designated travel agency. They're only repatriation flights. There's no regularly scheduled commercial flights coming into Thailand. So it was just this one travel agency, this Korean travel agency in Philadelphia.
Whoa.
That we were able to get our flights for.
So you flew out of Philly?
No, I flew out of DC. It was just they were handling the ticketing and all that stuff. So, so yeah, we got flights, got our hotel lined up, and then we had to like submit. Oh, and then we had a proof of insurance. We had to have, et cetera, like a million other documents. We had to send that in. I had to send it through my office to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Thailand, as well as to the embassy in DC. And then we had to apply for our visas, which was all of those documents plus more. And the time was narrowing down. So we had our flights booked, paid for. We had our hotel booked, paid for. We were shipping the dog over here too, and so we had all of his vet appointments set up and done.
Dog.
Yeah, Franklin is in Thailand right now, living the life actually, not in quarantine.
Wow.
So so we're coming down to the wire. We're like a week before we leave. We still don't have our visas. We still don't have. We have our plane ticket and all that, but we can't get into the country. We have to have our visa to ship our stuff. So we're like we're out of our house, but all of our stuff's in storage, and we still don't have our visa. So it's like, what do we do? I don't know. Are we going to miss our flight? 3 days, 2 days, day before we leave, still don't have the visa. So I go calling the Thai embassy, not getting any response. So I go over to the embassy and knock on the door, and they're like, come back at 4:30. You might get it then. I was like, oh, might. Great. So I leave, come back, 4:30. We're set to leave at 11 o'clock the next morning. So I come back, and like there's someone else there at the front door, and I'm like, oh, great. So I stand behind him, and the guy there is like, can I help you? I'm like, no one told me to come. No one called me to say that my visa's ready, but can you help me out? And the guy was like, what's your name? It's Malone, and Quarantino. And he said, oh, yeah, here's your visa. I guess you're kidding me. Are you keying me? Are you keying me? Yeah, and then so we got our visas, and then the next day off we went. And yeah, so how long was the flight? Korean Air from Dulles to Seoul, 13 and a half hours.
Yikes.
And 14 hours, I don't know, it doesn't matter after like 12. And then our layover was really short. I think by design, they just got us off one plane, put us on the next to Bangkok, and that flight was like four and change.
And were you the only people on the flight?
No, it's full. Well, no. The flight from Dulles to Seoul was probably half full. Because that was also a regularly scheduled flight. So they were shipping these Thai repatriation people on with normal air travel to Seoul. Normal air travel to Seoul. So that one wasn't full. I think we looked around the cabin, and most of the people on that flight were going on to Bangkok. So I would imagine if it wasn't for that repatriation flight, there'd be like 5 people on that plane.
Yeah.
But and then the flight from Seoul to Bangkok was full. But that's just because there's only limited number of repatriation flights. So Thais around the world are trying to get back in the country, and there's just limited number of spots available. In fact, my boss who's Swedish, had there was a fellow Swede who I think was working for the UN who was set to come back to Thailand from Amsterdam, and he went through this whole process on his end, got to the airport, and actually bumped him from the flight because there was a Thai government official who needed to get back to Thailand.
Ooh, yikes. That's like Jerry Seinfeld showing up at the club.
It's like the worst. If that had happened to me, I would probably be in jail right now. If not like hotel jail, like real jail. If that had happened to me at the airport, I would have lost my shit just because of all the time and money spent to actually get to that point was just insane.
Right.
So
is this the boss that was in Lebanon?
No, new boss. He's still in Lebanon.
Well, the reason we don't have to get into that, but I was just, the stereo app thing where I just talk to strangers all day. I just talked to this woman who is, she was born in Kuwait, but she's Palestinian. And she asked me if I knew about the bombing in Lebanon. And I was like, well, I think I know what you're talking about.
The explosion?
I was like, that like terrible explosion? She was like, yeah, no, the Jews bombed it. And I was just like, I don't think we did.
We, as the jury, did not do it. Yeah. Oh man, the conspiracy theories are predictably all over the place there. I mean, like, even my boss, who's a Brit, was like, so many people talk about hearing planes beforehand, and like,
Yeah, that's what she was saying.
I mean, unfortunately, I was listening to this really great Radio Lab a few years ago where they were talking about perception and people like believing in conspiracy theories, and it's like there's just so little that you can do in like a one-to-one conversation when that's
It is
the
very
case.
defeating. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been encountering them a lot.
Yeah, especially with vaccine and yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, I was talking to a lady who just like very arbitrary. The thing that I don't get is like there's no consistency with it. Like they'll just arbitrarily draw a line somewhere. They're like, He was like, yeah, I don't believe in vaccines. I'm not going to get the coronavirus vaccine. She was like, I got my daughter a polio vaccine, but like I didn't want any of the new ones. I was just like, okay, all right. So that's, yeah, you're anti-polio, but like you're for what, measles? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm all about that measles. But Jordan, I've done my research. Okay?
Oh my, that's the most infuriating sentence. Or do your own research.
Do your research.
Wake up, people.
Do your own research.
What do you say to people? And I want to get back to Thailand, but like I was just reading about, I follow many different types of people on Instagram and stuff. And just like people that refer to the coronavirus as like the disease that 98% of people survive. Like that's their the way that they just describe it. That's how they introduce it.
I mean, so do you just ask them like, all right, should we just not have public health? Like, should we just not care about that? I mean, the whole idea of public health is that you're ensuring that nothing that is preventable is going to kill you. Like, it's just that simple. I mean, and it's science, so it's like you're not going to be 100% effective. And that's the crazy part about public health is that we have been 100% effective with several problems. Like, I don't know off the top of my head, isn't polio one of them? Like, haven't we basically been able to
Smallpox is eradicated from the globe.
Smallpox, that was it.
Yeah,
that was it. But like, so they say 98% of the whole world, like just the whole population, right?
I mean, that's the way that they characterize the virus. They're just like, well, why should we care about a disease that 98% of people survive? And I'm like, since when do you define an illness by the number of people that don't die from it? Like, how is that?
So 98%, 2%. So that leaves 2% that die. 2% of the world's population is 140 million people. That'd be the sixth largest country on Earth. That you're just saying,
just get rid of it.
Or a third of the United States.
A lot of times these are like well-educated people too. Like this person that I'm thinking of that I just was looking at is like a person that's published science before. And he often has decent ideas, but he's like very, I don't know, some of the stuff he says is pretty problematic. And
well, don't you get this problem with people who are like really, really sciencey and like really, really into stats, and then they just sort of lose that humanity part of their
I know what you mean. I don't think that's what this guy is. This guy is like kind of, he thinks of himself as kind of a big shot. And like, I think he's more of a, like a personal freedoms guy. Like, why should I give a shit? Like, I'm not going to die from it. And that's totally the wrong perspective to have when it comes to something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, does he not even care about some of these long-term effects that we're starting to learn about?
I mean, I actually like, I couldn't refrain. I had to comment on it and I was just like, that's the most short-sighted thing you could say. And you're like a smart dude who's like quoting science. And like, you're simply saying that this is the number of people that probably aren't going to die from it. But you're not talking about like morbidity at all. You're ignoring this stuff that like is potentially really serious.
That's frustrating. I don't know. Like, how do you? Can I imagine that? Could you imagine like trying? Like, what if you're also in his like team, or like he's part of a public health team, and like he's literally like, just let him die.
Well, no, I'll tell you who he is. He's the guy. Have you ever seen? It's a brand now. It's called Bulletproof. They make like bulletproof coffee and stuff, but it's the brand Bulletproof, like the orange packaging. So that dude, Dave Asprey, he's generally a science-based dude, but he's kind of like off on some stuff. Like he promotes.
So it's like tech bro-y though a little bit, isn't it?
Totally tech bro-y, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the problem.
He claims that he's going to be the first person to live. Does he? I don't know if he says live forever
150?
or maybe he says 150, something like that.
It's like these human futurism sort of thing.
And like
I don't know.
I follow him because like he promotes like grass-fed meat and stuff like that. He's kind of anti-vegan, which is a kind of a movement that I think I appreciate because
sure.
I mean, I don't have anything against vegans, but I think there's like a flawed understanding of like nutrition there. And so he often has some insight about like meat and stuff like that and eating and health from that perspective. But like the coronavirus stuff that he's been talking has been bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, no one's perfect, Judy.
But it's the inconsistency that fucking drives me crazy. That's the one thing about fucking like libertarians that I actually respect is that they're consistent. Yeah.
Well, in generally, not the ones that are actually in office. I mean, Rand Paul thinks he's a libertarian, but then like hates abortion.
Well, I thought libertarians
happened to
anti-abortion. Is that not, I don't know, but that's what I thought.
Well, if you take libertarian theory, I mean, it shouldn't be up to the government to decide what a woman decides about her body.
Oh, fair. Yeah, that makes sense.
But most libertarians in this country are bred of the cloth of fundamental religion. So, like, they want to be libertarian so that they can practice their own religion. You know, they don't want the government to interfere with their religion. So, I mean,
all right. Here's a question.
Go on.
Or did you want to further that point?
I was going to say something, but
yeah.
You said Bulletproof, and it reminded me of that song by LaRue. Remember that song? This time, baby.
Yeah, I know that song.
Bulletproof.
By the way, the products, I like the idea of them, but they all have erythritol in them, and I can't consume them at all. And I think it's
What's erythritol?
Erythritol is a sugar alcohol, and it gives me like the worst stomach pain ever, even a small amount of it. But I think most people can tolerate it. It's like it's sweet. It's a sweetener.
It's sweet.
It's sweet, bro.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. No one's perfect. I mean, like you look at some, like there's some interesting philosophy that went into like human rights and you know, humanity, like basically pushing back against organized religion in Europe and you know, back at the time of Martin Luther and all that. And you like get into like reading this one guy, like, man, this guy has so many good things to say. And then like you turn the page and he's like, sex with 12-year-olds is okay, and you're just like, it's like, wow, wait a minute, where did this come from? And I feel like that's still happening today. I mean, you look at characters like Elon Musk, right? Like, and then our friend Chris, who is, you know, is got a shrine to the dude in his house, and like. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential to this crazy madman's, you know, theories to the future of humanity, but like, Jesus fucking Christ, what a fucking weirdo! And like,
there's people that's so smart, he's fucking a moron, also.
Yes, yeah. That's right. But what I don't understand is like, there's a lot of people like that. Like where we grew up around Princeton, there's a lot of really smart people there who were super socially awkward, but they didn't like pretend that they had all the answers to like society and humanity.
Most people don't.
Most people don't.
I feel like that was
no one's perfect. So
like
maybe you're giving the muscle milk guy or whatever bulletproof
muscle
guy
milk guy. Let's call him.
I don't know.
Well, like, why is he commenting on it? I feel like the first dude that I can think of is like Chomsky. He's a fucking like linguist, and then all of a sudden he's got opinions about everything, and people are like, "Oh, you're smart." Yeah, you know everything.
The whole history of linguistics intertwined with sort of like class theory and Marxism is really interesting. It's not just him. There's a lot of other people who are linguists that went down that path.
I mean, it makes sense, but like, why do we go? I mean, I kind of like Chomsky. He's fine. Like he's an interesting guy, but like, I don't want to ask him the secrets of life.
I know. Once they started asking him about Syria stuff, they lost me. Yeah, ask a linguist about foreign policy in Syria.
I don't even know if that's a joke. It's so over my head.
Well, there was some, yeah. Anyways, no, I think that people just need to be have a little more humility. Like recognize what you don't know and trust that many people are not trying to deceive you. Like there isn't an angry cabal of people manipulating things behind the scenes. Like it's never that way.
It's just not possible.
It's just never that way. It's not possible. And it gives too much credit to these people. They're like, oh, the CIA did it. And like, who kind of looked at our intelligence agencies, our covert operations, like they can't do that stuff. Like literally can't do that stuff.
Right. There
are some things that they're quite good at and like might be surprising, but like influencing like vast global conspiracies is really not something that they can do.
Right. It's
like way too much credit
and too much organization. Yeah. I keep looking at like Occam's razor. I'm like, what's more likely here? You don't understand it, or everybody on the planet organized together and like made this one tiny thing happen in your life. Like realistically, you just like just take that.
Yeah. I don't know. We're in a weird time right now. It's going to be fascinating. But I'm in Thailand, so we could bring this back to Thailand if you want.
Yeah.
Should we? So public health, yeah, we're in Thailand. And I think we should do maybe a 10-minute follow-up once I'm able to walk down the street, and I'll show you what all's going on. But,
should I wait to put this out?
Oh, do a little update?
And just have it all together instead of doing multi-part? I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah.
It
could just be like a
mini episode?
7 days later. Yeah, so after this we're trying to get our permanent housing set up. So after this we're going into another hotel for 3 weeks, and then
and this is when you can go in and out of.
Go in and out, go to the pool. I'm actually getting my haircut on Friday. Looking forward to that. Yeah. So we're going there, and then 3 weeks in that hotel. Emma is swim in the swimming pool, and then I do have to work, I suppose. But then hopefully by October 1st, getting our permanent housing. And then,
is that nearby?
Yeah, it's all in this area. There's a lot of expats in this area. If we didn't have a kid and a dog, I think Bree and I would be a little more adventurous and try to live in, a little more up and coming area where there's, not as many expats, but we need the amenities at the moment. So we're selling our souls. It's all right. Okay. Whatevs. But it's interesting. There's an area around here that's like there's a lot of Japanese expats. So like a lot of the apartment buildings are set up like Japanese style. They'll have like little onsens in the basement.
Nice.
Like the little Japanese grocery stores along the streets. And yeah, so I mean that was we considered that for a little while, but most of those apartments are too small to fit the stereotype.
Yeah, you're a tall man.
No, I mean like not really set up for a family with a pet sort of deal. It's mostly just like 1-bedroom apartments for
It's
like.
okay. You can own being tall. You're tall. You're tall.
I'm tall. I'm enormous. Do you remember when you told me I was enormous?
No, but let's talk about that.
Should.
No, it's totally fine.
We were. It was at a party at Penn that we went to.
I remember you telling me this story, but I don't remember it happening.
We went to this party. It was sometime in college, and we went to visit Ryan and Austin. I think we went to visit them, but we ended up at this party, and there was a lot of substances going around. And
All right. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds really bad. I imagine it was
a lot of substances going around. There was a lot of pot going around.
I think it was just probably weed and alcohol, right? Nothing crazy.
I think so, but the guy was smoking weed out of a light bulb. I had never seen that before.
I was not smoking weed out of a light bulb. If anybody was wondering. I've never done that.
So this dude was, and he was like so excited. It was just the most college thing ever. This guy was like, "Check out my new bomb. It's out of a light bulb." And
Okay.
Anyways, it was late night or whatever, and like we were sitting on the couch and giggling or whatever, and he just looks at me and you're like, "You're enormous."
Yeah. Okay.
And but I looked down and I'm like, I think I was like sitting on a chair that was higher. You were on a couch and like I was on a chair that's a little bit higher. Because I looked down and I was like, fucking huge. Why am I so big?
That's good.
And then we went to Wawa at like 3 a.m. And I think that's the night we slept in my car.
That must have been on 48th Street. No, 40th Street. 40th Street.
I just remember the drive home the next morning was awful.
Yeah, they always are.
Anyways,
I don't think I ever really had a great time at like partying at Penn. I was always gung ho, like this is gonna be awesome, and then it was just like a
it's gonna be different this time. Yeah.
It's like a bunch of just.
Well, because you're in West Philly, right? You think, oh, there's gonna be these cool house parties, and there's gonna be all these interesting characters, and no, it's just.
They didn't even hang out with girls. I'm gonna just say.
Boston.
Just frat dudes.
Oh man, I remember the one frat dude that launched himself into a beer pong table because he was pissed off at something once. Yeah, weird.
Yeah,
frats. We should do a whole episode on frats. We could bring Ryan on to be the point counterpoint.
Well, what is there to talk about? Are they they're spreading the virus at this point? Oh, you just glitched out.
Are we there too?
No, I'm here.
Yeah, what was that?
I see you.
Back. I'm back.
Yeah.
It's probably the Thai government making sure I'm not spreading propaganda.
It could be. Our power went out for like a second today because of the heat.
Oh, the overload. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. American infrastructure, I'm a little suspect. So the internet here is like 5 times faster than I had at home for half the price.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I was talking to my mom and dad, and they're up in northern Michigan at the moment, and they're like, our internet was out for 2 days. I was like,
well, why? Just technical.
It's like rural, even an area that's just like not. Losing my headphones here. But yeah, it's just like, I mean, you would think, I don't know, rural broadband is still a huge issue in the States, and you think we'd be able to figure it out by now. But as we've discussed, I feel like some of these larger issues are just so hard to do in the political climate thing.
Well, we're discovering a lot about our country this year, and the people that we live around and think we know. I wanted to ask you. You kind of alluded to it earlier, but that the CDC stat that came out like maybe 2 weeks ago now about the 6% that people ran with. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh Jesus.
That really drove me crazy.
And it even popped up here too. I was reading some comments on this Twitter feed about the Thai government, and someone was like, "Well, why are we doing all these restrictions to a disease that only kill or like 6% get or whatever?" And it's like, know how you explain these things to people. Like, they clearly have a preconceived idea that this is all bullshit and they shouldn't be affected by it.
Yeah, that's the
so
thing.
that
Yeah.
anything that they can manipulate or spin to prove their point, no matter how dumb it is, they're going to run with it because everyone's attention span is so small. So like, that's a perfect example. Like, it's not what they didn't say that 6% of the people died of coronavirus, the rest didn't. If you get into a car accident and you were in stage 4 cancer, you didn't die because of stage 4 cancer, you died because of a car accident. Like, that's
right. There are people that understand it a little bit better. They're saying, okay, only 6% of people that died of coronavirus died of it directly, and the other 94% that died because they had something else going on. Right. Which I think is what the data says, but they interpret that incorrectly, in my opinion, right?
Oh, go on.
Because, and this is what I found a lot of people doing. They'll take a little bit of they'll take a fact and they'll just draw the opposite or the wrong conclusion from it. So they think that because that 6% means that the virus is not deadly, right? Because it's unhealthy people that are dying. And the way I think of HIV, right? Nobody dies of HIV directly. Right. That's not how HIV works. It's like that number would be 0%, I think. 0 or point whatever. I don't know. I've never heard of anybody.
Can't you die of AIDS?
No.
Isn't there a component to HIV that is lethal? I know what you're saying. I
don't think so. So
probably not.
The virus attacks the T cells, and T cells are an important part of your immune system, and that creates an environment physiologically that allows for an opportunistic infection, stuff that would never affect any of us with a decent immune system. Like
asthma typically doesn't kill people. We can control asthma. So if you're contributing asthma to someone who died with the coronavirus, you're like, well, we would have been able to prevent the death otherwise.
Right. Exactly. So the virus is doing a lot of damage and creating an environment physiologically that, whether it doesn't matter what the final blow is from, it's the virus that's creating that environment and leading to the death. And people are just like, well, no, it's, the person's obese, they have high blood pressure, or whatever. It's like, no, that's fucking bullshit. Like, they wouldn't have died if they didn't get this preventable virus.
Right. I'm back on this audio, by the way, now. You're right. I mean, I don't understand, I guess, what's motivating people to point that out. Do we not teach logic in school?
No,
I don't know.
I don't know. Do we?
I don't know. It's really, I don't know. And there's this whole thing of being armchair and having, and this is what I get back to about the humility, right? Like, just stop trying to try to pretend like you know everything, right? Like just understand that the people who are experts generally want to do that because they're coming from a good place. Like, public health officials want to stop people from dying.
Yeah.
It's just really weird that people are making all these public health researchers out to be some sort of nasty people when of all of the public servants, they're the ones that are we're really just trying to stop people from dying.
Right. They're not making a lot of money most of the time.
No. I know that firsthand from Bree's work at the National Institutes of Health. I mean, they're often government-funded labs, and scientists are among the lowest compensated. That's why they have so many foreign scientists come, because it's not competitive with U.S. markets for lab research and that sort of thing.
Right. And when I was in school for public health, there were, I talk to people all the time, and people are like, well, I'm getting into this because I want to have a good job and be financially stable. I was like, you got into public health for money?
For good job. No. Yeah.
What are you doing? There's 2 spots.
Right. 2. Yeah. No. Yeah. So it's again, people, I don't know, people feeling cocky or it's this weird convergence of being cocky and skeptic that, like, I don't know why that's the prevailing sort of attitude of so many people
And it's
in
that,
the US these
and like
days.
confirmation bias. Like people already think what they think, and then they'll skew any bit of information that comes to fit that
Right.
narrative.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, it would be interesting to read on the topic, but I think when in times of tumult, that like people are just afraid to be uncertain, like they're really searching for certainty. So like, you know, the feeling of being uncertain and being really uncomfortable, you know, really drives people toward finding answers and finding solutions. I mean, like, you could probably see that as being the foundation for a lot of formation of religion, right? There were some tectonic things going on in the Mediterranean 2,000 years ago, and there was a convergence of empires. There were ideas about democracy forming. There were ideas about, you know, society, like the whole reign of the gods was being challenged. So like, super uncertain. Yeah, it drove people to sort of, you know, try to define hard, fast conclusions for things, and it, you know,
Build a narrative that works.
Yeah, I just hope we don't get some crazy ass religion in 150 years from now that was born out of this shit show that we're in right now.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, do you think people are still coming up with religion? I'm sure they are. It's just not a widely
Probably different.
popular
I mean,
thing.
like, there's always the people who say that, like, well, scientific reason is just another religion, and like,
No.
I don't know about that. But if you say it in the way that, like, well, the belief in science and the scientific method is a way to organize our priorities and our that sort of thing, I mean, you know, that sticks a little bit. But yeah, but I don't know. You know, you look at the way that, like, American evangelicals have gone and how far they've drifted from, like, the sort of the original Christians that came to the U.S. And like that's a long journey that they've been on in only 300 years. So like, what's another 100 years going to look like for that?
That's fair. That's something I'm pretty ignorant to. I don't even really know. But
Well, like,
I'm sure
you know, yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, I suppose. We don't need to get down
wait, I just had a question though. Oh, no. People, so you're talking about science, like people are kind of weaponizing science though at this point. Like, because you can realistically, you can find a study that supports almost any point, like a study, right? If not more.
Right.
So like, people are anti-masks. You can find some evidence that says masks are bad, right? And then that's what people are going to turn to, and then it's like, oh well, it's science, and it becomes such a frustrating argument.
Well, right. I think the part of the science that most armchair commentators don't understand is the idea of replication and review. And I think one thing that's
reference, like studies that are
referencing,
referred to,
yeah. And I think another problem within the science community that has perpetuated this is the drive to publish. I don't know if this is true in like the hard sciences, like with public health, but like in the social sciences where I came out of, the drive to publish stuff just leads like these journals to accept ridiculous studies that are easily refuted. I mean, like literally months later, there's something to come out and people were like, well, this was not true. We weren't able to replicate this. We ran this a different way and it basically invalidated this. But that never really captures the same, sort of the same curiosity among the public as the original, publication. So there's a literacy in understanding scientific literature and scientific method that most armchair folks don't really have. I don't know. It's again, like, America, like, people are trying to grasp for truths, and anything that sort of fits their preconceived notions, they're going to run with it.
Yeah, and also people don't understand that there is that pressure to publish, But there's also like Nature is not going to just accept any fucking paper. Like there is actual like reputable.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely better ones out there. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you should publish something in Nature about orbs.
Oh, should I?
About orbs, or ask some of your folks out there.
I don't even know. I think I have 2 publications technically, but I don't even know what. Like I don't even follow it. I don't care.
Oh yeah.
I just like contributed the tiniest bit to it.
Yeah, I did your check mark in grad school, right?
I don't even think I needed it, but yeah.
No, I mean the friends I have that are going through PhDs and going into academia, it just they sound so conflicted. Like they're clearly doing stuff they love, but like they're like, you know, being pulled into like what. Like the one guy, he's public health. The guy who was in my, who's actually my best man. I was just talking to him yesterday, and he's doing postdoc at Drexel, actually, in public health.
Good program.
And he was saying that the stuff they're working on is like absolutely nothing to do with the coronavirus or any sort of global health stuff. So he's like sitting in these meetings, and like all of his fellow researchers are like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why aren't we working on the coronavirus issue? Does this stuff that we're talking about even matter? Like, I don't know exactly what he is doing right now. Before this, he was doing stuff on mood disorders related to the gender pay gap, which is pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, he's sort of on like the social psychological side of epidemiology.
That's cool.
But yeah. But yeah, but he's just like, I don't know. He was glad to at least have funded research for the time being, but like, just no idea.
That's honestly why I got out of science, is because like a lot of times interesting or promising stuff won't get funded because of like where your funding sources, like where the funding does come from. A lot of times, especially in biology, it's pharmaceutical companies, and so your research has to use pharmaceuticals essentially for that.
Yeah.
For that to work, and like a lot of stuff is just ignored because people know what's trendy or what's going to look good. I don't know.
I wonder, is it the sort of the same issue happening in Europe? Do they have like harder walls between sort of public funded research and what's coming out of what's being driven by?
I don't really know, but I know that like
private sector.
So many researchers go to Switzerland. Switzerland's like the place, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. I know they have, they must have crazy resources. They've got that like, don't they have like a cold fusion lab or something underground?
But isn't that where the Hadron Collider is?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they have some insane shit going on there.
There's a Hadron Collider, and I'm gonna look this up. This is why we have little pocket computers here.
I know that's where they're trying to make cold fusion happen.
It is. Let's see. Where are you located? CERN. Where is it? Yeah. So it's beneath the France-Switzerland border near Geneva. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So you see clusters. I mean, Princeton was a cluster for a while. I think it still is. There's a lot of research going on in Princeton. But again, I mean, that's where ExxonMobil, all these biotech firms, private firms and pharmaceuticals are there too. I don't know. I don't.
Well, that's
I
where
don't know
Fish,
enough about it.
Fish the band, you know.
Fish the band, yeah.
So
Blues Travelers from Princeton, so there's that too.
Right, a lot of important stuff coming out of there.
Really important stuff coming out of there. Oh man.
Well, what else?
My sister literally bumped into John Popper back in the 90s. And do you remember
what? Did he get hurt?
He took up a lot of
he's enormous, right? He's giant. He's like super tall.
Well, no, he got his stomach stapled. He's like a little dude.
Was
now.
that after?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but no. But this was back. Do you remember what was the restaurant where you used to go down the steps? It was right in front of the Princeton Record Exchange. I was up on. Oh man, it's definitely not there anymore.
I don't think I know.
Anyways, but yeah, So she bumped him. She also, do you know that Jon Stewart also used to bartend at the liquor store
Yeah.
that was under like near the Party City?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, so she used to sneak into that bar underage, and he would be bartending there.
Really? That was the same time?
Or I don't know if he was bartending or if he like came back there. Because
Okay.
my sister's 11 years older than me, so like
Right.
it doesn't quite the same time, but like there's a couple times he showed up there and at the bar down near the Circle in Trenton. That was it called the McGuinn's or whatever it was before McGuinn. Before McGuinn's.
Oh.
Yeah, there was something else before then. He used to show up there too, as you would. You're
Jon
from
Stewart
there.
from our town, Lawrenceville, New Jersey.
Don't know if we made that clear. Remember how much Mr. Nickel used to talk about that?
Well, Mr. Nichols said that I reminded him of Jon Stewart. So, and the reason he did, there was like one very distinct reason, and that's because I submitted like a paper, like a 3 or 5 page paper, and in the stapled pages, I just put in this drawing of Mr. Nickel. So just while he was reading my paper, he just came across it, and then he just handed it back to me, and he was just like, "You remind me of Jon Stewart."
Jordan, this is destiny. Didn't we know that Mr. Nickel is some sort of sage? He knew he can spot talent at the age of 16.
Yeah, I guess so. Even though by the time Jon Stewart was my age, he was already definitely on MTV, probably in movies and stuff.
Oh, by now. Oh, yeah. What was Jon Stewart doing when he was 35, 36? I don't know. He was probably in
He was a comedian. Movies.
Definitely a comedian.
MTV. Friends with, Pauly Shore, for sure.
But you're friends with Pauly Shore.
I'm not friends with him. He moved to Las Vegas.
Oh, you should follow.
No.
Go find his gym.
I used to see him at the gym. Yes, for anyone still listening, which is nobody.
No one. There's no one listening at this point.
I used to see Pauly Shore at the gym every day. And then one time it was just me and him in the steam room. And I talked to him, and I shouldn't have talked to him.
Oh, it didn't go well.
Nah, it was just the wrong time to say something. And then one time,
steam rooms are not generally the best time to.
Especially because I was naked except for a towel, and he was fully clothed, including a hat and sneakers.
That's so bizarre.
But I love Pauly Shore. Let me put this out there. I love Pauly Shore. He's great. That's why I wanted to fucking talk to him. I was just like, "What's up, man? I'm a big fan." And he did this a lot. He was like, yeah. And then one time I was like walking out of the gym, and you have to get your this little like thing validated for parking, a little like ticket.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get to it, but he was just like there, and he had a neon fanny pack, and all his goods were just spread out on the counter, and I couldn't access the validator. I was like, and he was like, "Oh, sorry, man." And I'm just
All right. In 1997, Jon Stewart was chosen as the host and interviewer for George Carlin's 10th HBO special, 40 Years of Comedy.
Yeah, Jesus, he's working with George Carlin at this age, like.
Yeah. So he was 35 in 1997. That's crazy. And then in 1999, he took over the Daily Show.
All right, so I got 4 years.
I have 4 years to go.
I'm not even trying to get.
So what? Just get Trevor Noah on the horn and be like, "It's destiny. Mr. Nichols said so. I gotta take over when you're done."
Trev, you're out, man. I'm sorry.
Trev, sorry, dude.
Trev, brah.
Trev, brah.
I don't even know if I obviously would take that job, but that's not like my dream job.
Right. Seems like a ton of work.
Yeah.
It's a crazy work.
What's your dream job? Like, if you could have any job in the world, what would it be?
Well, money wouldn't have to be an issue.
No.
I'd probably farm.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Yeah,
kind of
on a
farm?
kick-ass piece of property that overlooked the ocean somewhere.
Do farms exist overlooking the ocean? They got soil for that?
Yep.
Okay. What would you be
they,
farming?
they, they do.
They got soil for that?
They got soil for that. What would I be farming? Good question. Whatever I damn
Sounds
well
like a
please.
vineyard. But okay.
Ooh, that actually does sound. If you get drunk off of whatever you farm. Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, the vineyards, you got the nice climate. It's you know, it's not too humid, not too hot. Just right. Actually, that's good. Good call. Maybe I'll do a vineyard.
Oh sure,
Seems
no
like
problem.
seems like a pretty douchey community though. I don't know. That probably
I don't know. You
wouldn't
got
be.
Maynard James Keenan now of Tool. He's a vineyard man.
Oh, celebrity.
Sonoma though.
Another good thing. Wine. Let's see. Celebrities that have wine.
Oh, Drew Barrymore doesn't she, or does she just? Maybe she's just a spokesperson for one. I don't know.
Frank? Well, there's Coppola, of course, but like, didn't Frank Zappa have a wine?
Really?
I don't know. Let's see. Celebrities with wines. Sam Neill. Dave Matthews owns a winery in Virginia.
Ah, you're in good company there.
Here's a list. Wikipedia, man. I don't.
All right,
Dan Aykroyd.
Well,
Aykroyd has one in Canada.
I was gonna say Dan Aykroyd, but I thought he was just vodka. Wait, a vineyard in Canada? What the fuck?
Not even like out west where they might be able to do it. It's in Niagara,
That makes no
like
sense.
outside of Toronto. Antonio Banderas. That's pretty on brand for him.
Yeah.
Like he should have a vineyard. Drew Barrymore, good call.
Okay. Is Maynard even on that list? He's like got a
Don't.
successful vineyard.
This is not listed in any particular order here. I'm just going for the big name. I don't know who 90% of these people are. E40. Shut up. Do you know who E40 is?
Is it a rapper?
Yeah. Like back when, there was that era of West Coast rap that it was like pretty silly. And
Yeah, like Digital Underground.
No, a little after that. Like the next wave of like, I mean, it was still sort of like part of the East Coast, West Coast gangster rap stuff, but like the West Coast rap was like early Snoop Dogg. Like that stuff was pretty silly. This guy was like the epitome of that. He had the song called Hurricane. He goes, Hurricane, but you can call me Slurricane. Hurricane, strong enough to start an engine, May.
All right, I'm going to play a clip of Hurricane right now.
Yeah. Look it up. Hurricane E40.
Yeah.
And just this guy has a winery.
Perfect.
Emilio Estevez.
Got that Merlot flow.
Wayne Gretzky. Oh, Maynard James. James Keenan. Yeah.
Perfect.
Arizona.
Yeah, he's a Sonoma guy.
Lil John has a winery. Lil John.
Where's his?
Paso Robles.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
There you go.
Sounds like California.
It is. Madonna, of course. Joe Montana. Jim Samuel.
Graham Norton? I'm trying to get your mumbles.
Yeah, Graham Norton. Yeah, he's got one. But he's
like
Irish.
Jim
So
Henson.
where the hell? I mean, there's all these different names. Greg Norman, Arnold Palmer, those are golfers. Who's
No,
Fess
Arnold
Parker?
Palmer, he's already locked into a drink. He can't do wine.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. I'm sure they're really hands-on with that one.
Wow, they still have a wine baby together?
Yep. Wait, who? I'm so bad with celebrity. Who's Alex Spanos?
No clue.
Okay.
Jesse Spano, I know.
Just
Sounds
Yao
Greek.
Ming. Yao Ming has one.
Hell yeah. That's all you need. That's great.
That's it. That's it. So Jordan, that's who I aspire. I'm just gonna hang out with Yao Ming.
All right, I got A few
got
questions for you.
You can play E40 Hurricane?
I'm gonna play E40 on this podcast. Yeah, it's already we played it already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
No, because I'm putting it in.
I get it.
Post-production.
I get it now.
Okay.
All right, 2 questions.
Did I say 2? I said a couple. I guess that's 2. Okay. This was something I was talking to somebody about on stereo earlier, and Yao Ming made me think of it. What celebrities, this is not a coronavirus related question, but
Good.
what celebrities are like undeniable? Like if they're walking down the street, there's no question that it's them. And I said Shaq, and I said Conan O'Brien. Like there's just nobody else that it could be.
That's good. Shaq for sure. I mean, he's just so big.
So
Conan
big.
O'Brien, and this is definitely in the context of the U.S., right?
I don't know. I guess.
Well, Conan O'Brien, a 6'6" lanky redhead, would of course stand out just about everywhere.
Yeah, he's recognized everywhere.
What about, who am I thinking of? Who is that? I think Boy George would probably pop out.
Okay, all right.
I mean, there's no, if you're walking down the street, it's not like, you wouldn't be like, is that Boy George? You'd be like, that's fucking Boy George.
You'd be like, by George, that's Boy George.
By George, that's Boy George.
Okay, and all right.
If they were naked, so there's one thing. So like Boy George is all about the clothes and like the whole get up. But like
naked.
Or if they were in like a t-shirt and jeans.
Okay.
Sort of deal.
I mean, still Shaq and Conan for sure.
For sure. For sure.
Here's a follow-up piece of that question. What about like women? Because I feel like height is such a big part of it. Because super tall people can just stand out anywhere. But like, is there a woman, like a celebrity, that you just like, you could see from 100 yards away, and you're like, oh, that's that person.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard because like physical presence is going to be is a big part of that, right?
Right. Like I could be the most famous person ever, but at my height, I feel like I'll blend into any crowd.
Like Serena Williams.
That's actually what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be no missing her.
I said Bjork, but that's again clothing.
Yeah, that clothing, and that would probably be a deep cut. My mom would have no idea who Bjork was.
That's fair.
Yeah, Serena Williams.
I thought your mom was cool.
Like, what was that?
I thought your mom was cool.
She's not into the sort of Icelandic, sort of indie pop of the 90s and 2000s.
Okay.
She's more of a Norwegian indie pop type.
So
I just watched Eurovision Song Contest Fire Saga.
Good one.
It's really, really dumb, funny, hilarious, enjoyable.
Pierce Brosnan is great.
So random.
Yeah, that's a good film. Good film.
It was definitely worthwhile. It's
Yeah.
definitely not a good movie, but it was totally worthwhile.
That's real. The Eurovision Song Contest is a real thing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. We'll tune in every once in a while.
Yeah.
But did you see? Here's another thing you should look up. And to the -1 listener that you still have, I would say look up Iceland's entry to the 2020 Eurovision contest.
Okay.
Real one, not Fire Saga, the real one. It didn't happen this year because of the pandemic, but it's excellent. Oh, this is we don't do this sign anymore. We do this.
You did do it.
I did do it. I'm not a white supremacist, I promise.
No.
So I like that. It's more the chef kiss. I like that one better.
Oh, this is what we're going with now?
But yeah, instead of the AOK one, we're gonna be.
I saw a meme today that was how do Italians drive, and it was just people doing this on the steering wheel.
It's this. I'll tell you what I learned. What I learned traveling throughout the Middle East is that it's not just Italians. It's, for whatever reason, anyone from the Mediterranean.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyone. So like Egypt, they're all like.
That's so funny.
Wow.
Falafel.
Maybe it just, you probably trace it back to like, I don't know, like the Phoenicians or something that crossed the Mediterranean. They were probably, like offloading their cedar and were just like giving me my money.
Have you seen this one where you know how we do this like in the US, like, yo, come here, dude. This thing? I hate this thing. What the fuck?
Yeah. So when I was in Malawi, this meant come here, but of course, like when the white people sees the baby, they want to wave to them, and a lot of the waves aren't, they're not going like, sometimes they'll go like this to the baby, but sometimes they'll go like this. So I remember there was like this little kid in the village, and there was this, someone from our group was waving like this, and the kid was like, and like just started walking toward them, like, what do you want from me? There's that. There's this. I never understood. What is it in the UK? This is the same as the middle finger.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but not elsewhere. Is
Wait,
it in Europe too?
How many fingers do they have in the UK?
Well, that's true. They might only have 2.
Oh, I thought maybe they had 7, and so those were both in the middle, or 6.
That's
What?
not something I'm looking up right now.
You're gonna look up how many
yes.
fingers do British people have? Okay. I don't. The sound effects of
How many
typing.
fingers? This is so dumb. The top result was, how do Brits count on fingers? And I was like, and then someone goes into the difference in Scotland and Wales.
Well, all right. So since we're getting silly here, there's a game I've been playing the past couple of days.
Go on.
That is, try to come up with the name that you think is a metal band, but you've never heard of it before. But like, try to say like, okay, so the one that got me to make up the game was someone was talking about Birds of Prey, and I was like, Birds of Prey is definitely a metal band. And we looked it up. It's 100% a metal band.
100% a metal band.
So just come up with something, and you can't cheat. You can't know the band, but just like some. So another one that I got right yesterday was, I just went with Carotid. Nailed it.
Yeah. This is
and I will,
this is a fun game.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I tried to play with Deanie earlier, and I
Yeah.
I explained the game to her, and she was like, okay. And I'm sorry, Deanie, you'll probably be the only person that gets this far in the episode. No, Poison would have been a fine answer. Adequate. She probably doesn't know the band Poison. That's fine. Her first response was, I was like, okay, come up with the name of a metal band. She goes, okay, Raw Onion.
which is a fantastic name for a band. But it belongs in like Spinal Tap, though.
It was not right. I'm sorry, Deanie. I had to.
There's no Raw Onion?
No.
I'm going to start a metal band.
I was like, yeah, you got to start one if you want this.
There's like, this is a hard game to play. Like, have you ever gotten your hands on or seen some of those, like, I don't know, like Dayton, Ohio garage metal band fest, and there's like 30 bands on there with just like their names and like literally the most ridiculous names that you could possibly come up with.
It's a pretty easy game. Like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Goose Pussy is playing this week.
Yeah. Like Aborted Fetus. Like, I'm pretty sure is the name. It's definitely the name of a metal band.
Oh, another one I came up with today, which I was right. I'm actually pretty good at this game. Knife Play.
Oh, for sure. Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. All right. Yeah, you're pretty good at this. This is something that I, for whatever reason, I'm not going to be able to come up with something until...
All right, well, here are the cheats.
When I'm like doing the dishes or
just
something.
throw the word black in there.
It's true.
With devil.
Something sharp. Yeah.
A body part is usually pretty good, especially cool sounding ones.
Cloak and Dagger.
Okay.
Should we look it up?
I mean, yeah. It's definitely.
What if it's like a K-pop band?
Then it doesn't count. It's got to be at least hard rock.
Musical group. Excellent.
What's the
Punk.
genre? Punk?
Punk. And I mean, that's like sort of Cloak and Dagger. Let's learn about them. I have to go on their Facebook page.
I'm going to guess they're from, they might be from Omaha.
Shit, it's in Thai. How do I change this?
Oh. So you're already totally converted.
No, I don't have a Facebook account, so I'm just on the whatever comes up free.
Oh, you're on Cloak and Dagger's Facebook. I see.
All music.
They don't have a wiki. They're not that big.
No. Oh, they have Bandcamp. Metal Archives, Cloak and Dagger, country of origin, Sweden.
Oh yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
I feel like a good 35 to 40% of metal bands are from Scandinavia.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good point.
Their songs titles are a little unforgettable. Nothing stands out. Like I remember going through some band's song list, and I remember one of them was like ripping entrails from a dead woman's body or something like that. Like like that. I think isn't that called like gore metal or something like that?
I don't know. Sure.
Here's a fun fact: NPR Music, their correspondent who did metal, lived next door to us in our first place in DC. Super nice guy. It will not come as a surprise, but his name was Lars.
Hell yeah. Did he have an accent at
I mean,
all?
he really couldn't have any other name, right? Like he had to have been named Lars.
Right. But was he foreign, or did he have an accent? Was he German or something?
No, he was American, but he was like my height. He had like bleach. He had super blonde hair, down to his shoulders.
Okay.
No, I think it was natural.
Wow.
Down to his shoulders. So very pale. Not like albino pale, but like.
So he might have been Scandinavian.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But he had American accent though.
Yeah. So
maybe I don't know. I wonder if this Lars.
I'm sure we can Google him. Anybody listening right now can Google him. We can find
Lars Gottrick. Sounds German.
Yeah.
Lars Gottrick. Here, look
I'm
at
trying
this.
to think of my metal band. Okay, you show me.
Look at Lars. This is the dude. Super, super nice guy.
Oh, he's adorable.
Yeah. Yeah, he and his girlfriend live next door.
That's nice. That's a cool job to have.
Yeah, those NPR Music folks. I'm pretty sure they got paid terribly. But
Bob Boylan?
Bob Boylan, my boy.
All right, I just thought of a name. I'm going to go with this name. This seems like something that would exist, but I definitely have not heard of a band called this. But I just realized it's pretty obvious, so I'm going to go with Decapitator.
Decapitator. Interesting. What's it called when what's that grammatical function when you put an ER at the end of it? You make it a job or an occupation.
I don't know.
I
would assume
feel like that's an avenue of band names that hasn't been exploited very much.
Yeah, perhaps. I feel like metal bands, there are some.
Slayer.
One who slays.
One who slays.
Can I get a read on Decapitator? I'll look it up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Archaic.
Metal band.
Yeah. All right.
Started as a jam band during mid-2005, Mid-Year Hellfest. Oh, it's
yeah,
Filipino. Is it Filipino?
I don't know. They got a song called "Stain of Shame," which rules.
They might hold on. They might be Filipino. Yes, they're from the Philippines.
I'm sure it's good.
Fantastic.
Decapitator
Oh,
rules.
yeah.
Do you want to do another round?
Yeah, let's do another round. Let me point out again to the -2 people that are listening.
Mm-hmm.
Thailand has an incredible like scene for like early metal, classic rock cover bands. So like
Okay.
we remember when we were here in 2009, we went into this bar and there was an AC/DC cover band playing, and they were like perfect.
Mm.
and
I believe that. I believe that.
and it was like it was really bizarre. I didn't know what to expect. We just walked in and it was like this really loud hard rock music, and we are like, oh, they're just blasting AC/DC, and then like started singing like that's not AC/DC. But like
That's
all
really
of the
funny.
instrumentals were absolutely perfect.
Well, the
And
singer
it's
wasn't
a
nailing it.
total thing. Doesn't really translate to Thai too well.
That's awesome. So, do you think there's still that scene, but just for
Oh yeah,
for
for
Thai
sure. I
people?
like remember reading about this, that like this sort of like 80s, 90s like hard rock is really popular here.
That's cool.
Yeah, pretty psyched about it. I guess better than K-pop. All right, my turn.
Yeah, I have enough. I just thought of another one that I think is. Yeah, I'm doing safe bets. I feel like, but yeah, your turn.
I feel like we need to talk about something else in order for it to come from me.
I want to look up the one that I threw out as an example by accident earlier.
Oh,
Who's
I've got to go in. It might be better as a song title.
Okay.
Cryptic Whisper.
Wow.
I think that's a song title.
So that's a big swing right there. What? Wait, how is this a real thing? You never heard of this?
What? Cryptic Whisper?
It's a real band. What the fuck? Formed in 2006? How did you do that? Did you really not know?
This is a
French.
ridiculous game. This is a game. This is a ridiculous game.
It's a fun game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there it is.
They're French. You really didn't know them.
Incredible. Formed in 2006 French in Rheims.
No, you need to say I never heard of them before.
I've never heard of Cryptic Whisper before.
Okay. All right.
Hold on, I want to hear this. My new favorite band.
It might be good.
All right. You don't need to show them walking on stage. Can you hear this?
Yeah, it's cool.
I love my favorite in this video is the keyboardist. He's just playing chords like this, but he's headbanging at the same time. So he's like,
They look pretty French.
oh, incredible. Definitely French.
Cryptic Whisper. That's like definitely a phrase that a non-English speaker would think of. Oh, Cryptic Whisper.
Cryptic Whisper. Oh, a really fun podcast that you might want to listen to is called Wind of Change.
Okay.
It was done by a reporter for The New Yorker, Patrick Radden Keefe, who's a really good reporter. But it was about scorpions and whether or not the song Wind of Change, this is actually going to reference earlier part of our conversation,
Callback.
was Wind of Change was actually written and was a covert CIA project to spread democracy behind the Iron Curtain.
Oh, definitely.
It's a good podcast. So it weaves in a little bit of like glam metal from the 80s, with conspiracy theories, with the fall of the Soviet Union, etc. It's a good listen. It's like 9 episodes.
Everything you
Pretty
need.
good.
I'll check that
Pretty
out.
good. Yeah.
So my entry this round was going to be Blood Moon, but I feel like that's too easy.
That sounds like it's probably like it doesn't sound very metal. Let's
You
see.
don't think so? It has blood in it.
They are a U.S. band from San Luis Obispo, not far from you.
Yeah.
There is like a metalarchives.com.
Yeah.
Oh, they're still active.
Ooh.
They are progressive black doom metal. Their lyrical themes are space, time, death, and mind.
Well, that counts. That it has the word metal in there. It's yes.
Yeah.
That's a yes.
Void bun.
I feel like
Void bound.
These are safe picks though. Like Cryptic Whisper was a big swing.
There's a little out there. There's a little out there, and it landed. We hit it.
I'm gonna say you won the game.
I'll take that. Little did you know, I'm a Cryptic Whisper super fan.
I don't believe it. Like I can't imagine that somebody would fucking just come up with Cryptic Whisper. What the fuck?
You gotta like Cryptic Whisper. You gotta get the same vowel sound in the middle of the words. I feel like that's a good. So you have cryptic and then whisper.
So
You
each
can
word
do
has
that.
a P, is what you're saying?
No. The I sound. Cryptic whisper. If you can achieve that.
Now you're just trying to like, just trying to reverse engineer your strategy for this game, because you landed one. I mean, if you want to go another round, then I think that'll really put it to the test. Then
Quarantine Dreams. There's currently a band forming called Quarantine Dreams.
not metal.
Definitely not metal.
That's like some ambient shit. All right, let's do one more round, and then we're gonna end the podcast.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kind of hate myself for thinking about this.
Yes.
Suicide Scream.
Okay, got the alliteration.
Yeah.
That's key.
Let's see.
Deathcore. Oh wait, no, that's Suicide Silence.
It's Suicide Silence.
Oh shit! So Suicide Scream is the opposite of Suicide Silence, so it means you're way off.
Oh, what? Way off?
I mean, silence versus screams? Yeah. Oh, now Kevin's doing a deep dive to make sure he's not. He still wants the point.
I put quotes around Suicide Scream.
I'm sure he did. This really opens up the game. All right.
What is this? Hold on. Oh, it is. I think it actually is. It is an album title by a band called Axes.
Well,
Partial credit?
no. The game is metal band names.
Didn't say album names.
Nope. So Deanie's guess, Raw Onion, that was the name of a record label. Did not count. Raw Onion Records? No.
Is it a metal record label?
I don't think so. Doesn't sound like it.
This is from a metal band though. Metal band called Axes.
AXES?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a cool name. Axis.
And their album title is Suicide Scream.
Okay. All right. Well, if I get nothing, then you can take the point, I guess. I guess that'll be what puts you over the top.
Yeah, don't give me any sort of blood moon pussy bullshit. Gotta go out on a limb here, Jordan.
This is a public forum, Kevin. Blood moon pussy bullshit, he says.
It's the next collaboration.
Pussy bullshit. They're good. They are good.
They're great. It's great collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought of another safe guess. I'm not going to say it. I'll tell you after, though. Okay. Okay. Let's go with. I kind of want to throw the word bone in because bone is pretty cool. Let's think. Okay. All right. This is a big swing too. Okay. I'm going to go with the metal band known as Finger Fuck.
Definitely a band. Uh-oh. We need to take our temperatures.
Oh, hell yeah. That's some real quarantine shit.
1 sec.
Yeah. I'm going to look up Finger Fuck the band. Here we go.
Yeah, I gotta wrap this up here in a second.
I don't think I'm right, to be honest.
There is a Facebook page.
Oh, really? I haven't found it. There's a band called Four Finger Fuck. F-O-U-R.
Got that one. Classic. Oh, there's a band called Finger Fuck.
All right, well, I'll take the point. Is it metal?
It appears to be.
Okay.
Look at those dudes.
Yeah. Is that Aaron?
They don't look. No, it's Thai.
Oh, right. I thought it was the band. Oh, that's just your computer.
Ooh. Do you get extra points if it's an Arab metal band? There's a few Lebanese metal bands that I came across.
I'm going to say that I won this game and I'm undefeated at this game. Even though...
It's rigged.
What did you say? Crystal Whispers? Cryptic Whispers?
Cryptic Whispers. That's got to be like...
That's a hell of a point, but, you know, you got cocky.
Well, all I know is that I'm leaving here and starting a band called Suicide Scream so that I can retroactively win.
Okay.
On my ukulele. I'm gonna start a new trend of ukulele metal. I think the world's ready for it.
I'm ready for it. It's I'm open to it, and yeah, just take the L.
Okay. Of course there is. Ukulele metal is a thing. I don't know why you thought it wasn't.
A lot of L's in ukulele, Kevin. Just take one.
And metal.
No, that's true. Just one.
Ukulele metal. All right.
Well, this was great.
It's been real.
Thanks for being on the pod.
Crap, crap.
Crap goon crap. I don't know what that is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of your quarantine. And I hope your
I will.
temperature.
We'll do.
Nice.
I'll tell you what. I'll do. We'll just do a little when I'm on the street. I'll just do a little sort of selfie video, and I can send it to you. And you can. Do I need to actually tape it with you?
No, you can do that.
Cool.
I'll tack it on the end of this. So coming up, Kevin on the street.
Woo! I'm free. Okay, so it's now been almost a week since we have gotten out of quarantine and we are free. Thailand is bustling. It's crazy, it's busy, a little overwhelming after being so pent up for so long, but here we are. I am taking this guy for a walk. What's up, Frank? Frank, wanna say hi? Good boy. So, we are walking in the city, and it is busy. Let's do a little demonstration. Actually, it's not so busy at the moment. but during rush hour, it's a little crazy around here. There's that way. And then you can see behind me. So this street gets super duper busy during rush hour, like I just said, and it's really hard to walk Frank up and down here. That combined with it's hot, humid, wearing a mask, it's a little stressful. But freedom is a good thing. We have been to the grocery store a bunch. It's really amazing just to see everything seems to be open. We went out to eat for a little bit, for a couple times, and some of the restaurants seemed to be starting to get more people. We talked to the owner of one of them, and he was saying that basically shut down during March, April, May, and June, and then it started to pick back up. And he said they're starting to get quite busy. A couple nights out of the week, they're starting to get pretty busy again. But pretty crazy town. We're pretty excited to be out, eager to explore some of the rest of the city. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave it here, Mr. Judy, before I or Franklin get run over. Yeah, so peace, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Spent too much time in California. Now I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.